Keith here. Hey, I wanted to talk to everybody today about this word authority. And the basic principle of it is, in my opinion anyway, is that you're either following under a covenant with your Creator, which is very simple. It's the Bible, Quran, whatever teachings you follow. In the United States alone, we have over 800,000 codes, rules, regulations, statutes, acts, ordinances, edicts, whatever you want to call them. And basically what it is, when it comes down to authority, my mom told me here a while back, Keith, the police are your authority. Bullshit. Particularly after this woman, after raising me through a Methodist church, which, if you understand my background, I grew up in a lot of different foster homes. And in those different foster homes, of course, they had different religions. So I was subjected to a lot of different foster homes, or a lot of different religions, before I was even 10 years old. And the one thing that I got out of all of them is that we're all created equal. We're all supposed to be here for each other. And that there's one basic law, and that is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, when it comes down to that word authority, and my mother tells me that, Keith, the police are your authority, and I say, fuck you, it's because I know my Creator is my authority. And I've made a, quote, covenant. A covenant with Him, her, them, they. That is who my covenant is or are with. If I bow down to a lower authority, then what I've done is I've broken that covenant of giving Him the authority over me, or Him having authority over me, by giving it to somebody else. It's something that I'm not supposed to give. I'm not supposed to give my authority over anybody else, and I'm not supposed to take authority from anybody else. I am my own authority. Even He says, for ye are gods. I want people to understand this. When you make a covenant with a Creator, and then bow down to a, quote, contract to give up that authority and place it over here, you've just disposed of your Creator. You've just moved His authority, her authority, their authority, and given it to this motherfucker over here that wants to do it for 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And I think where everybody keeps getting confused is, you keep breaking those 10 commandments. Thou shalt not be gluttony. You have all this greed for this paper fiat that somebody else tells you has more worth than anything else, when the real worth is right here. Right here. I tell people consistently, my word is my bond. I don't need a piece of paper. I don't need a piece of gold. I don't need a piece of silver to bond me, because I'm already bonded through my covenant with my Creator. He insures me. I don't need another man or woman telling me I need a surety claim. I don't need somebody else telling me that I need to bow down to their authority. And a large part of the problem is people don't understand that word authority and what it derives from. If you're going to have a covenant with your higher power, your Creator, that is your contract. If you're going to contract with a fictitious entity, then you are making a covenant. You are promising to fulfill what you've already promised was somebody else's to fulfill. He will fulfill for you. She will fulfill for you. They will fulfill for you. And we've already learned through not just years, not decades, not centuries, but eons, that man is corrupt. And when he says he has authority over you, he says you are his slave for money. Give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And I say, give unto ye Creator what belongs to ye Creator. Your authority is yours. You get it from him, her, them, they. Correct. Antecedent times. Back to Nimrod. You are correct, Brian. And this is what we have a problem with today. I got in a conversation earlier, gal. I talked to her about my mom telling me that police are my authority. Keith, the police are your authority. Yet she's one of the ones that taught me, or sent me to church, and induced me into a religion that taught me that my Creator is my authority. And then she turns around and tells me that the police are my authority. I can't believe my own parents. I can't believe my own mom and dad, because they try to tell me there are two different authorities, when in fact I know if my Creator is correct, my mom and dad should, above anybody, if I relinquish it from him, be my authority. But because so many believe, and they even instituted amongst us through their universal or their uniform codes and the UPU, which is a universal postal union, and the United States Code, all crime is commercial. Did God say anything about money? He did. Again, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Living under your Creator has nothing to do with commerce. The flow of money has nothing to do with currency. Has to do with being here for one another. Has to do with doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Has to do with being stewards of the earth. Having dominion over the earth and not each other. And this is what the word authority means. God has the authority. My Creator has that authority. As explained in that Bible, he says all man has dominion over the earth. He doesn't say one man has dominion over the earth. He doesn't say this group of people has dominion over this part of the earth. He doesn't say this group of people has dominion over this part of the earth. He says all man has dominion over the earth. Over the fowl of the air, the fish of the oceans, and all the creepy crawly critters of the land. And that doesn't mean we're supposed to dominate. Doesn't mean we have authority. It means we're supposed to nurture. It means we're supposed to take care of it. And that's where you find profit. That's how we profit from the earth, is we grow from the earth. And so I had to explain to her, we got into the conversation about the birth certificate and buying stocks on the market. And I told her stocks is just a flow of currency, which is, of course, again, referring to 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. That's all that fictitious greed, gluttony. Thou shalt not be gluttonous. Thou shalt not idolize another. Thou shalt not idolize another equates to thou shalt not give authority to another. So when you bow down and you give authority to another by signing a license to get married, which is supposed to be a covenant between a man and a woman under their Creator, you are bowing down and saying, I have disposed of your 10 commandments. I have moved them. Understand the word dispose. Dispose doesn't mean you got rid of it. It means you just moved it. It's still there. You didn't destroy the Bible and get rid of it. It's still there. You didn't get rid of the written word. It's still there. You didn't get rid of the word that was spoken, for it has already been spoken. You've merely disposed moved it from one place to another. So please understand, people, when you sit there and try to say that the police are your authority or the government is your authority, remember, you are born free. You are born free under your Creator. And if anybody else tries to convince you that, Keith, the police are your authority, you have to explain to them, no, they are not. They only have color of authority. When somebody tries to explain to you that driving is a privilege and you're required to have a driver's license in order to do so, remember, that is a correct statement in and of itself. But if you expand it and include, but, and this is where I urge people to educate your children. Educate your children. Instead of being the privilege to drive and it's required to have a driver's license in order to do so, you also have a right to travel that is given unto you inherently and unalienable through your creation. No matter who you say your creator or creators are, whether it be male or female or many of them, that is inherent upon you and unalienable. We all have the right to believe what we wish to believe. We all have the right to make our own choices. We all have the right to change our minds. Nobody has the power to do that. That is your unlimited. And remember, I was talking about covenant and contract. That is your unlimited power to contract. And when you give up your covenant with your Creator and bow down to a contract, then you're subject to the Uniform Commercial Code. You're subject to the government. You're subject to the police. You're subject to the Universal Postal Union. You're subject to all of those different jurisdictions. But when you realize that, and as I believe my Creator, in the text that I know of so far, says that ye are gods, created in their image, His image, her image. I've heard it several ways. But I do believe that we are given dominion over the earth, and that does not mean authority. That means that we're supposed to nurture and take care. And that the only authority that there really is the authority of life, the energy of life, the power of life. And if you want to bow down from that power of life to your unalienable right and your unlimited power of contract, and you go ahead and bow down to that contract. And you go ahead and sign. You go ahead and sign your name in cursive and curse yourself. I've heard that one too. I don't care how you look at it. All I know is the basic simplicities of it is Hosea chapter 4, I think it's verse 28. You'll have to correct me on that. Somewhere in there it says something about for they have not the knowledge. And that's why I insist, I urge greatly, teach your children that, yes, it is correct to say that you have a privilege to drive and it is required to have a driver's license in order to do so. But along with that privilege to drive, you have a right to travel. One, the right to travel is given unto you by your Creator, inherent and unalienable. The right or the privilege to drive is given unto you by seceding from your privilege, your rights to travel, and taking upon a privilege. And also understand the Constitution, yes, there's people that say Constitution doesn't apply to you. And they're correct. Constitution applies to fictitious entities. Because again, like I said, everybody has an unalienable, inherent rights that are all common amongst all men. No matter whether you've already supposedly relinquished them through a contract, that you weren't knowledgeable enough, Hosea 4:28 again, I think, for they lack of knowledge. You weren't knowledgeable enough to know that when you were signing that contract, you were giving up the powers of your Creator. You were disposing them. You were getting rid of them. You were moving them. So quit it, people, and understand. They have no authority. None whatsoever. I'm going to post another video later. I've got some information about the previous court cases that are still residing down at the local courthouse in regards to traffic tickets while I had my private property placards that I got pulled over twice by the local city police. Another one for the state troopers that pulled me over, and then 2 dog tickets that I signed all of them UCC 1-308, which is they say reserving your rights without recourse, blah blah blah. I don't care. It's letting them know that you have that unlimited power to contract and you are not wanting to contract. That's what that's saying. And so I never went to court because your actions, like they say, it's the old adage, your actions speak louder than words. So when you go to court, you're going to court as if though when you signed, you agreed that you were going to appear. But when, in technicality, when you signed UCC 1-308, you were reserving all your rights, which is one of the unlimited power to contract, saying at that point, you don't wish to contract. That's why you're using that code. And so I never went to court. Understand, the term of court is the same as the term of a contract. And again, people were dealing with money. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, and in a contract, that money is what binds you. And so the term of that money is just like the term of a CD account for 1 year. The term of court is just like the term of that CD account, 1 year. They have 1 year to prosecute that case. They have 1 year to get a qualified signature to verify that contract, that quasi-contract, that illegal contract, that void contract. Because again, like I said, even if you sign without knowledge, without intent, without willingness, then it's void. Remember, your unlimited power to contract comes from your Creator, and that Constitution only supports that. It does not apply to you. It applies to those people who believe that they're citizens or subject to authority. And they get to use that in court and say, well, what about this? I'm coming closer and closer to determining that. I'll never use their case law and stuff like that again. Stick with the word. Again, like I'll repeat again, my word is my bond. I don't need money for a bond. My word is my bond. I've made my covenant. I know where my authority comes from, and it is my authority, and I'm not going to give it upon to anybody else. So please, institute this amongst your children, and quit letting the public education system omit, lie, deceive, and train, indoctrinate, subject our younger generations to the same thing we've been subjected to. Get them out of school. Help them with the knowledge of truth. And quit subjecting them to a limited set of facts. Because again, yes, driving is a privilege, and you're required to have a driver's license in order to do so. However, my dearest son, my dearest daughter, you also have the unalienable, inherent right that we all have, that we all share, which makes us common, to travel as you wish, because that's what your Creator wants you to do. Your Creator wants you to go forth and be abundant. He doesn't want you to go forth and profit through a currency. He wants you to go forth and be abundant. And I want to explain something to you real quick, give you something real quick and interesting to think about when everybody thinks about the separation of church and state. If there is such a separation of church and state, let me ask you, all you religious people, all you churches, all you organizations out there, every last one of you that registers Do you know the word register? Do you know the word? When you register under contract, somebody signed their name under contract with UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, to be a 501c3 organization, not for profit. That's a contract. Do you know the word covenant? Do you know the word contract? Do you know the word disposed? Do you know the word authority? Very basic, simple words. So when you want to go to these churches and they teach about these creators and all these different forms and rules and regulations, I urge you to ask them if by going to their church, if you fall under Uniform Commercial Code, or do you fall under the code of a creator, the covenant of a creator, and see if there isn't a conflict. See if there isn't some kind of denial. See if there isn't some kind of acquiescence to, oh, but that allows us to perform. You can perform and speak just like I do and teach the same word. Particularly in today's life. Look at me, I'm right here. I'm right here. Yeah, right here. Look at that. Yep, right there. That's where I'm at. I'm all over the place. Funny how today's technology says ye are gods, or our Creator says ye are gods in today's technology. So this shows us how much closer we're becoming to that. Because I'm actually right here, but I'm there. How is that possible? Funny, nice little gadgets like this. And I don't have to relinquish authority to a Uniform Commercial Code to preach my word. I don't have to go to a public education system in order to learn what I'm learning and then to turn around and project that forward. I don't have to subject myself to a belief system. I can go forth and I can learn and gain knowledge. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to teach our children how to ask questions. The right questions, at the right times, for the right reasons, for the right people, for the right cause, all that. So, tell them to question everything. Learn how to question everything yourself. Because when my mother told me, Keith, the police are authority, I already knew better. I had already questioned it. I've been questioning it all my life. And when I was finally able to turn around and tell her, no, they aren't. I know deep in my heart they're not. Because my Creator is my authority. And that is whence I get my authority from. And that's where it stops. Because I don't have authority over another living man. I don't have authority over another living creature. I don't have authority over life in any form. What I have is responsibility. So please take upon the responsibility to be the one to speak the word. Show the truth. Show how to respect people, things, places, animals. Show how to project life and not quash it, stomp on it. Yes, Brian, ask God, He will give you knowledge. He says, ask and ye shall receive. So every time you have a question, when you go into court, every time you have a question, every time that they say something that contradicts what you're learning. Excuse me, point of clarity, I have a question, sir. You said driver's license. Does that apply to me? Does that apply to this man? Oh, well, it says it applies to any person that applies for a driver's license. Well, but point of clarity, question. I I have learned that the word person is in regards to the estate entity. And how can that entity have a license to drive? It's just a flat piece of paper. It can't get up there and move the steering wheel. It can't push the gas pedal. And these are simple questions and simple answers to the questions that you have. You can answer them yourself if you just make it simple. And just get rid of all the bullshit, which is all their authority. Universal Commercial Code, or Uniform Commercial Code, Universal Postal Union. Some of that stuff is important in order to communicate, but we have other ways to communicate as well. And those different authorities have jurisdiction over things that are supposed to support every man, woman, and child. So again, when people say that the Constitution it doesn't apply to you, correct, it doesn't. It applies to the estate. It applies to the corporations. It applies to the fictitious entities. You have unalienable inherent rights within you that are common to all of us, and those cannot be taken away by anybody and have been promised by your Creator, and He says, I will not take them. He's already forgiven you for your sins. So, quit giving up your authority. You got it from somebody greater than them, and you're giving it from somebody greater, and then taking it from yourself and giving it to somebody else, saying you're under them. You can't handle your own authority, so you're going to give it to somebody else. Quit doing it. Teach this stuff to your children. I urge you. I beg you. Hopefully everybody's understanding this. It's very simple. It defeats everything that man does by contract. Everything. Every last bit of it. Covenant or contract. The power of the covenant or the authority of the contract. However you want to look at it. They say you have unlimited power to contract. And that's because you have that First Amendment right to freedom of religion. You're free to believe what you wish to believe. So, and believe it. Believe it. Quit giving up on it. Quit giving up on it and giving it to somebody else. Quit disposing of it in a bad direction. We have to maintain this stuff so we can give it to our younger generation. If we can't maintain it ourselves and we give it to somebody else, do you think them corrupt motherfuckers are going to give it to your younger generation? They've already proven that they're going to disregard the thou shalt not be gluttonous and keep it all for themselves. They've already proven that. So quit it. Quit giving up your authority. Well, this is longer than I normally do, and but yes, believing is faith. And you got to quit. You got to quit it. You got to quit depending so much on faith and have that knowledge. Have that knowledge, so that when you go forth and you have people that follow, they're following, knowing that you already know what you're talking about because you've shown a good example. And if you think the police are setting a good example, you go ahead and keep following them. But I again urge you, open your eyes and look closer. Well, anyway, that's all I got for now. Like I said, I'm going to make another one on those tickets that are still sitting down there and they've refused to do anything about. Been sitting down there for several years, all signed UCC 1-308. I'll do a video on that either later today or tomorrow. And let you know what I have to say on that. Again, in reference to covenant, contract, and authority. Meantime, God bless everybody. Love you. That's all I got. Have a great day.